What was she saying?
Yeah, she had some other different color pencils and she used the markers. That's why it was not looking good. She was telling, yeah, she wants to use a different color pencil. Yeah, we will start. Once I'll send the link in the group and then we'll start. Where is the phone from them? Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to Bhakti Sangha. Today, we are very fortunate to have Her Grace Kirtida Sundari Mataji to enlighten us on the topic of SRIMAD BHAGAVATAM summaries. That is, we are doing 4th canto, 23rd chapter, and the chapter name is Prithu Maharaj going back to Godhead. Very, very beautiful chapter for this week. Hare Krishna Kirtida Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mataji, for joining and giving your valuable association this evening and enlightening us on the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam. I now hand over the call to you, Mataji. Over to you.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for your very, very kind association. So we'll start. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशधारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवास आदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। गुरुवे गौरचंद्राय राधिकाय तदालय कृष्णाय कृष्ण भक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः। आनन्दलीलामय विग्रहाय हेमावते व्यच्छविसुन्दराय तस्मै महाप्रेमरसप्रदाय चैतन्यचन्द्राय नमो नमस्ते। चैतन्यचन्द्राय नमो नमस्ते। चैतन्यचन्द्राय नमो नमस्ते। मुखं करोति वाचालं भङ्गं लङ्घयति यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्येश्वर। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Namaha Pankajanaಭಾಯ Namaha Pankajamaline Namaha Pankajanetraya Namaste Pankajangriye. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you once again for your very, very kind association. So we are in the 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and we are in the 23rd chapter, the chapter entitled Is Maharaj Prithu's Going Back Home? So let's do a quick recap. Can anyone tell me who was Maharaj Prithu?
He was son of King Vena.
Excellent. He was son of King Vena. And which limb of Vena was churned that Prithu Maharaj appeared?
His thigh.
No, his arms.
His arms. Okay. Yeah, sorry, Mataji.
Arms were churned by the rishis, by the saintly people. Especially in one of the purports, Prabhupada says Bhrigu Muni, because of which King Prithu and his wife Archi, they both appeared. So after that, they both started. He was one of the CHAPTERWISE avatar of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then there was a big coronation that happened by Prithu Maharaj. And then when he became the king, what he did, he was praised by so many people. But out of humility, King Prithu said that I am not supposed to be praised. He's actually the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he is supposed to be praised. So if you want to offer any glorification, then offer glorification to the Supreme Lord. And then when he became the king, he saw that Mother Earth was not responding, was not producing the things. So he became angry at Mother Earth. But finally, Mother Earth surrendered to Prithu Maharaj and told him that if you, me being a cow, milk me and have a calf, that is Vatsam, have a pot like of Dohanam and a milkman, Dugdharam, then I will produce the desired milk which is suitable for all the living beings. And then Prithu Maharaj, to the various people, he offered the position of calf like Swayambhu Manu, Brahaspati, Indra, Prahlad, and so on and so forth. Finally, earth supplied everything that was needed in the reign of Prithu Maharaj. So Prithu Maharaj became very famous, and then he performed 100 horse sacrifices, that is Ashwamedha Yagya. So before that, only Indra was able to make this 100 horse sacrifices. But now Prithu Maharaj also wanted to do this 100 horse sacrifices. So anyone on the earth planet does any kind of such sacrifices, the first personality that gets bewildered and that gets shaken is our Indra, because he thinks that everybody is after his possession. So out of envy, Indra stole, when Prithu Maharaj has already completed 99 Ashwamedha Yagya. At that time, he was about to do the 100th one, and Indra came and he stole the house. Then Prithu Maharaj's son, whose name was, anyone knows? What was the name of Prithu Maharaj's son who protected and brought back this horse? His name was Vijitashva. So name was given because he conquered that horse. But finally, 3 times the attempts were made, and 3 times Indra stole that horse, and that too in the form of sannyasi. So Brahma came and told Prithu Maharaj that don't worry, you don't perform that 100th sacrifice, Lord Vishnu is going to be pleased with you with your 99 sacrifices. So as much as Indra is famous by performing his 100 sacrifices, you will be famous by performing 99 sacrifices. So finally, Prithu Maharaj agreed, and then he performed one sacrificial. It be performed a sacrifice, and in that sacrificial arena, Lord Vishnu himself appeared, and he instructed Prithu Maharaj. Later, Prithu Maharaj himself instructed the citizens that how one should always perform devotional service. One should do one's duties, but one should also perform devotional service. Swadharma is important, but Sanatan Dharma should never be forgotten. So after performing all that and instructing the citizens, Maharaj Prithu got an opportunity to meet the 4 Kumaras. So we are in chapter number 23. The last chapter was Prithu Maharaj's meeting with the 4 Kumaras. And 4 Kumaras also instructed Prithu Maharaj in the same thing, that how one should not perform any karma mishra bhakti or jnana mishra bhakti. Rather, one should perform the absolute pure devotional service. Bhakti which is not mishrit, bhakti which is pure. So after instructing and how one should surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, always try to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. After instructing Prithu Maharaj, then Prithu Maharaj understood that it's high time. So he thought that let me give up my kingdom to my 5 sons. So Prithu Maharaj and Archi, who were born, who were actually appeared, they have 5 sons. The first one was Vijitashva, then was Dhrumakesha, then Haryaksha, then Dravina, and finally Vakra. So he handed over his reign to all of them and finally retired from his kingly life. So now we will begin with our last chapter of this in this context about Maharaj Prithu, and where Maharaj Prithu is now basically now Maharaj Prithu is preparing himself in going back home, back to Godhead, because he came for the purpose, he fulfilled the purpose, and now he's planning to go back. So this conversation is happening between Vidura and Maitreya Muni. So Maitreya Rishi is now explaining that how Prithu Maharaj, at his very last stage of his life, he saw himself getting old. So he divided his kingdom to all of his 5 sons. He arranged pensions for everyone, and finally he thought of leaving everything and left and went to this forest with his wife to perform austerities. So Prithu Maharaj was already a Shaktavesh avatar of the Supreme Lord, and he came on earth only to execute the orders of the Supreme Lord. So we know that Supreme Lord comes millennium after millennium. Yada yada hi dharmasya jnana dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. He comes in every millennium for a specific purpose. So either he comes or he sends his incarnations. So in this time, Krishna, he sent Prithu Maharaj. Prithu Maharaj was being a Shaktavesh avatar. He came to perform the activities for the pleasure of Lord Shri Krishna. He was exemplary in his administration thing, and therefore he wanted to become exemplary in his retirement life. Time and again, Prabhupada has said, one who is a perfect brahmacharya can become a perfect grahastha and can become a perfect vanaprastha, and finally can become a perfect sannyasi. So he also wants to become exemplary in his retirement life. So he took his wife, Archi, and both of them went together. Vedic principles also tells us that when one retires from family life, then one should take one's wife along with him, because husband is half unit, wife is half unit, and together they both are considered to be one unit. And one should try to move out of the house. Simply remaining in the house until the time of death is not what is the retirement life. Retirement life is that one when we separate from the family life and we prepare ourselves in going home back to Godhead by performing or undergoing some certain austerities. So Prabhupada always says that you don't have to go to forest these days. Go to some holy dham, stay in the temple, stay in the vicinity of the temple and serve. That's how you plan your retirement life. And so Prithu Maharaj and Archie, they also strictly followed the retired life. They underwent a lot of austerities and they went to a forest. So Prabhupada mentions that actually this Vanaprastha life is the life of tapasya, is the life of austerity, and it is highly recommended. Otherwise, we will always be in this andhakupam. So when we are in Grahastha life, as soon as we enter into Grahastha life, we should start planning for our Vanaprastha life. It will happen or no, that depends upon Krishna. But at least we can plan that, okay, after certain age, I'm going to retire and I'm going to now follow certain austerities so that I can lead a life of Vanaprastha, which is technically known as, Prabhupada says, is Vaikhanasa ashram. Vaikhana means that you should follow certain rules and regulations. So even in Vanaprastha life, just like in Grahastha and Brahmacharya, and in Sannyas, in Vanaprastha life also, there are certain rules and regulations that should be followed. And Prithu Maharaj, being exemplary Grahastha, followed the rules and regulations of Vanaprastha life also. So he stayed in the forest with his wife Archie, and he totally restricted his diet. He was not eating any cooked food. He ate only the roots and fruits from the trees. Sometimes he'll just eat dried leaves, and for weeks he will just survive on drinking water. And finally, he started living simply by breathing air. So now my another question to the devotees is, who was another person in Bhagavatam who was following the same austerity, first staying on roots and fruits, then dried leaves, then water, and finally on breathing?
Dhruva
Dhruva
Maharaj.
Dhruva Maharaj.
Maharaj, excellent. Just a 5-year-old boy was performing such austerities in a brahmacharya life, means he was just a 5-year-old boy. And here Prithu Maharaj is now on the life of retirement. He is in a Vanaprastha ashram and he is also doing the same thing. So he was not even expecting that his disciples or maybe some devotees from the city should bring some cooked food for him so that he can eat. No, he was simply eating roots and fruits from the trees and some dried leaves. So in this way, he underwent severe austerities, especially in regards to eating. Of course, there are other austerities also mentioned. You have to be extremely celibate, extremely celibate. You cannot have that sex life or even in your mind. Forget about grossly or physically having, but even the mind should not go into that direction. But Prabhupada says that yes, those days it was possible, but these days it's not. So whenever the opportunity comes, whenever you have this plan of retirement life, one should stay in the temple or at least in the vicinity of the temple and start serving the Vrajavasis or Dhamvasis and always be engaged in chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, which is the biggest austerity of this age of Kali, because that's the Yuga Dharma that was established by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as a Yuga avatar who came and established this Yuga Dharma, that to chant Hare Krishna, right? So we should follow this Yuga Dharma because we are in this Kali Yuga. So what austerities Prithu Maharaj underwent, then Maitreya Manu is describing. So he is describing that Prithu Maharaj accepted this Panchatapaha. Panchatapaha is the 5 kinds of heating process during the summer season. So during the summer season, one of the Panchatapa that is being mentioned by Srila Prabhupada is that whenever Prithu Maharaj would sit, he would sit within a circle of fire when there is a hot blazing sun in the summer season. So imagine already heat is coming from the sun. It's so hard to be in sun and especially during the summer season. So in that peak summer season, when sun is already giving so much of heat, Prithu Maharaj would sit within the circle of fire with flame blazing from all the 4 sides and the sun blazing directly overhead. So this is how the austerity. In rainy season, he would expose himself to torrents of rain. And in winter season, he would sit in the cold water up to the neck. So this is the extreme austerity that Prithu Maharaj underwent. And for what? That is the main important thing, that yes, one should go to one should perform some severe austerities. And the life of a sadhaka, it is the duty of all of us that we should follow some austerities in our life. We should try to wake up early in the morning. We should chant Krishna's holy name. We should do some deity worship at home. We should offer bhoga to the Supreme Lord. Yes, all these are austerities of Kali Yuga. Look so simple, but see our life. Even these simple things are so difficult to perform in this age. So these are the simple austerities. But for what are we doing these austerities? That is important. Like Hiranyakashipu was also performing austerities, but his mood of performing austerities was to become the supreme. He wants to be immortal. That was his hidden agenda of performing the austerities. But such austerities, when we perform, wherever consciousness is different, then it will lead to nowhere. So Prithu Maharaj underwent all these austerities. He brings all his senses to control. He was able to control the air within the body. But for what? Only for the satisfaction of Krishna. There was no other purpose. In Kali Yuga also, when we perform and do such austerities, then we should think that our austerity should please Krishna. Some siddhir haritoshanam. If it is not for the pleasure of Krishna, then all the austerities we are performing, it's shrama eva kevalam. It is just a useless labor. Someone can say, well, I am also performing austerities. Okay, you are doing it, but for what? If somebody is saying, I'm fasting on Monday to please Lord Shiva, you are fasting on Monday to please Lord Shiva. Whole day you are fasting, you're not even drinking water, and you are pleasing Lord Shiva. And when? For what? What is the agenda behind? That I want some money, some game, some name, some fame. That's the reason. So that all austerities is Shrama eva hi kevalam. Because at the end of the day, at the end of the life, all those material benedictions that we have, it will be all in vain, because it will all go away with our body. Nothing is going to stay. So therefore, Prabhupada says, a Krishna conscious person, first of all, will not perform all these useless austerities. They will do only those austerities that are recommended for this age, for the age of Kali, and also that is recommended in the Vedas. And for what? For Samsiddhir Haritoshanam, for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. And the austerity in this age is mentioned by Srila Prabhupada and is mentioned by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtana. That one should glorify the holy name. One should glorify Krishna's devotees. One should glorify Krishna. Right now, we all are here. We all are here in the Srimad Bhagavatam session. So this is Sankirtanam. We are together participating and understanding and reading the devotees of Krishna and glorifying Krishna. So this is an austerity, leaving everything and giving our ears, lending our ears to hear about Krishna Katha. This is austerity. This is Sankirtanam. And this is going to purify the heart, and this is going to liberate all of us. So one should always engage sufficiently and constantly only in the service of the Supreme Lord. Yes, there have been many yugas, and in all the other yugas, the means of self-realization have been different because of the conducivity of the age, longevity of the life of the jiva. But in Kali Yuga, the only austerity recommended is only to do Nama Sankirtan. That's the only tapasya. That's the tapasya which is not a Shramaiva Kevalam. Rather, it is for Krishna's pleasure. And it's going to lead us to the higher destination. And that higher destination which we all long for, to go to Krishna Loka, to go home, back to Godhead. So in this way, Prithu Maharaj was also performing all his austerities, and he gave up the desires of all the fruitive activities. Previously, he was performing these Ashwamedha Yajna, but that was fruitive activity. But now he gave up. He completely got free from all the desires, and he was able to control his mind, and he was performing some yogic practices like asana, following yam, niyam, asana, and pranayama. He was performing the process of a hatha yogi, of ashtanga yogi, but his aim was to worship Krishna. Everything was what he was doing was not aimless, but he was doing it for the pleasure of Krishna. So Prabhupada also says that whatever we do, we should do for the pleasure of Krishna. And especially in this age, we should chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Kalau Naste 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 Gatiranyatha. That there is no other way, no other way, no other way to progress in Kali Yuga. But as far as pranayam is concerned, Prabhupada says that even the devotees perform this pranayam. What is pranayam? Pranayam is that when you do when you sit in one asana, but your focus is on breathing, that how much you are breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. So this is an exercise of breath. So Prabhupada says, as far as pranayam is concerned, even the devotees perform this pranayam. But the only difference is they don't sit in one place, in some secluded place. Rather, they go and stand in front of the Lord and they dance in ecstasy. That is the pranayam for the devotees, because they offer everything for the love of Krishna. So, as in the previous chapter, we saw that how Sanat Kumar, one of the four Kumaras, he instructed Prithu Maharaj on the path of spiritual advancement. So Prithu Maharaj also followed that. He was known as Purusha Rishabha. Rishabha means best, best of among the Purushas. But that doesn't mean that he becomes the Supreme Lord. He is not the Supreme Lord, but he was just an amsha of the Supreme Lord. He was the best of all the Purushas. One Purusha is worshipable and another Purusha is a worshipper. Krishna is also Purusha, but he is always worshipable because he is Bhagavan. But Prithu Maharaj is also Purusha, but he is in the mood of worshipper because he is just an amsha of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. After that, Prithu Maharaj engaged himself completely in devotional service, and his love and his devotion for the Supreme Lord was apratihata and ahituki. It was uninterrupted, unmotivated, and it was constant. Continuously, he was performing. So, this is also very important, that our devotional service, whatever we should do, it should be without any motivation, without any reservation. Oh, Krishna, I'm doing this, but in return, I want this. If that is a give and take business relationship with Krishna, then that is not recommended. That is not mentioned as pure devotional service. The pure devotional service definition that Srila Rupa Goswami gives is Anyabhilashita Shunyam Jnana Karma Navritam Anukulyena Krishnanu Shilanam Bhaktiruttama. It should be anukul, it should be favorable, it should be done for the Supreme Lord, and it should not have any agenda. It should not be a Mishrit Bhakti, it should be a pure Bhakti. That's how Prithu Maharaj was practicing. So Prabhupada mentions that material enjoyment is there for the karmis. For the jnanis is merging into the Supreme Lord. But a pure devotee, he doesn't have any desire. He says, okay, whatever you want, Krishna, rakho bhi maro bhi, jo ichha tohar. That is the mood of a pure devotee. Recently, we lost one pure devotee, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. He was an epitome of pure devotee. He was such a pure devotee that constantly, throughout his life, he gave it to Srila Prabhupada, to Krishna. And the pure devotee desire is always engaged in devotional service of the Supreme Lord. No matter how much pain, how much suffering one goes through, but a devotee never looks at the pain never looks at his own pain, but he always looks for the benefit, for the welfare of the people in general. And that was remarkably experienced and explained by His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, who unfortunately left us but got united with Srila Prabhupada again to serve him, to fulfill his mission, to fulfill his desires. And therefore, that pure devotee who always does this for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord is Bhagavad Dharmi. And that's what Prithu Maharaj was. He was a Bhagavad Dharmi. He was not a Karmi or a Jnani, but he was a Bhagavad Dharmi. So by regularly discharging devotional service, apratihata and ahituki, Prithu Maharaj then was able to control his mind, because then he was constantly able to think of Krishna. So first comes Shravanam. He did Shravanam from the 4 Kumaras. Then he practiced Kirtanam by doing devotional service, by performing devotional service. And then comes Smaranam. Now he is able to control his mind. He was able to constantly think of the lotus feet of Krishna. And thus he was freed from all false ego and material conception of life. So this is actually the byproduct of performing devotional service. When person is performing the devotional service, then vairagya automatically comes, detachment automatically comes, and jnana, knowledge also comes. Knowledge and vairagya, they follow the one who performs his devotional service. Prabhupada gives the example that devotional service of the Supreme Lord is like a queen. So when the queen makes her audience in front of everybody, naturally she is escorted by the maid servants. And these maid servants are actually the material opulence, liberation, the mystic powers. So she is always accompanied. Therefore, a devotee who is performing devotional service never longs for liberation. For him, this mukti, bhukti is all waste, and this mystic powers, this is all not needed, because a pure devotee always wants to engage in the service of the Supreme Lord. Though all these will follow as a byproduct, but the pure devotee never puts his mind into all this. His mind is always fixed in the service of the Supreme Lord. And all these artha, dharma, artha, kama, moksha, they are like the personal attendants that follow the pure devotee, because a pure devotee never aspire for it. He doesn't endeavor for it. So by constantly thinking of the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, the pure devotee becomes situated in Shuddha Sattva. And that's what Prithu Maharaj was. Prithu Maharaj was able to establish himself into Shuddha Sattva stage. And this Shuddha Sattva stage is not the stage of goodness that we hear in this material world. This material world, we have mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. But this Shuddha is the transcendental stage, rising above the mode of goodness and establishing oneself in the Shuddha Sattva stage. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur actually in this regard gives an example that if one has a strong digestive power, then after eating, he automatically lights a fire within his stomach to digest everything. And that is what is known as Jataragni. He doesn't have to take an extra help from outside to digest the food. or some medicine or some aid to digest the food. No, if he is healthy and has a strong digestive power, then immediately Jataragni from inside will come and will help in the digestion of the food. Similarly, when there is a fire of devotional service, then a devotee does not need to act separately to attain some perfect knowledge or detachment, some jnana or vairagya from material attractions. He doesn't have to endeavor. By the power, by the fire of devotional service, this jnana and vairagya will automatically comes, and devotee then attains that Brahma-bhuta stage. That Brahma-bhuta stage, so that he is established only in performing devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prithu Maharaj also adopted the same process of doing devotional service. So when he was completely free from the conception of life, he realized Lord Krishna sitting in everyone's heart as Paramatma. So this is the first feature. When one comes onto the level of bhava, then actually he realizes that the Supreme Lord is sitting in the lotus of one's heart. And then he started receiving instructions from him, just like we saw in the life of Narad Muni. Even Narad Muni, when he was performing his austerities, in one glimpse, he saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But then immediately that image just vanished. And Narad Muni was perplexed. He wants to see again the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he was not able to see. And then he got instructions from Vrida. He got instructions where Krishna told that, oh Narada, I will not be able, not Narada, because he was not Narad Muni at that time. He was just a boy and a son of a maid servant who was performing that austerity. So Krishna told that you will never see this form again. I just showed you, and then that form was vanished because I want to increase your longingness to see more. So now you have to follow the instructions. Similarly, Prithu Maharaj also, he realized, he didn't see the form, but he realized Krishna sitting in his heart and in the heart of everybody. Sama Darshina. That is how the devotee first realizes. He realizes that Krishna is there in everybody's heart. Therefore, he pays respects to everybody. And then he started receiving instructions that his Paramatma gave to him, that Krishna is actually the goal of life. And this way, he started meditating. And that is what is Krishna consciousness. That when we see Krishna in everybody's heart, and we don't envy everybody. Right in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the start of Srimad Bhagavatam, in Mangalacharan verse, only Srimad Bhagavatam says that those who are nirmat saranam, those who are non-envious, Bhagavatam will reveal itself to them. It's not that somebody is teaching Bhagavatam and one is receiving the message of Bhagavatam and we'll become scholars. No, this Bhagavatam has to reveal itself in the heart of a devotee. This is a transcendental literature. It's not the literature where we go into some college or school or some academic things and we gain that knowledge. The knowledge of Srimad Bhagavatam has to be revealed, but it will be revealed only in the heart of Nirmat Saranam Satam. Right? It will not be revealed in the heart of those who have this quality of matsara, that vice of matsara, that vice of enviousness. So we have to be relieved from this vice of enviousness, and that can only be relieved when we start seeing Krishna in the heart of everybody. When we see every living jiva is a moving temple of the Supreme Lord, because the Supreme Lord is residing in that jiva. That way we'll become Nirmat Saranam. And once we become Nirmat Saranam, then Bhagavatam will reveal. Then the pages of Bhagavatam will reveal themselves in the heart of a devotee. So Prithu Maharaj also, he fixed his mind completely on the lotus feet of Krishna, and he situated himself on Brahma-bhuta platform, and finally he gave up his body. So Prabhupada says that those who are practicing Krishna consciousness should know that their examination will be held at the time of death. That's why His Holiness Giriraj Goswami Maharaj has written life's final exam, and that is death. At that time, the real test happens. Whatever we have been practicing in our life will be tested at the time of death. That time, when we remember Krishna, then only we'll be transported to Krishna Loka. So Prithu Maharaj, by the grace of Krishna, could understand the end of his life was near. And therefore, instead of becoming morose, instead of becoming sad, he became jubilant. And he proceeded to completely give up his life, to appear in that final exam of life of death by situating himself on Brahmabhuta stage, by practicing the yoga processes. So even in this regard, King Kulashekara, he also writes very beautiful, Krishna Tvadiya Pada Pankaja Panjarantam. That's a beautiful verse that Srila Prabhupada, it was very dear to Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada often quotes this verse, where it says that if Krishna, King Kulashekar Maharaj, he says that I wanted to give up this body while I'm in a healthy state, while remembering Krishna, while doing Shravanam and Kirtanam of Krishna. Oh Krishna, let me die immediately, because now I'm healthy, now I'm conscious, now I can chant your holy name, and I'm sound in my health. So let me die now, because later, if in my old age you'll take up my life, I don't know in what situation I'll be. I don't know whether I'll be conscious or not. I will be overpowered with mucus, with bile, and will be choking. My throat will be choking. I don't know whether I'll be able to chant your name or not. So if you really want, then please take my life now. That's how the mood of a devotee is. The devotee is never feared of death, never ever, because the death for a devotee is an opportunity to serve his divine couple, to serve the divine couple. That's an opportunity. If death is not there, how can we get relief from this material sufferings and material existence and go home to Krishna and serve the divine couple? So death becomes an opportunity. Whereas for non-devotees, the same death becomes suffering, as if thousands and thousands of scorpions are biting at one single time simultaneously. Example is being given, the cat carrying a rat. When the cat is carrying a rat, she's carrying the rat in the same teeth and through the same teeth in the same mouth. But it's a death for a rat. But when the same cat in the same mouth with the same teeth carries a kitten, it's the love, it's the reciprocation of the cat towards his children. So this is how the same death is ferocious, is unbearable for non-devotees, but it becomes jubilant. It gives us an opportunity for the devotee to leave one's body in a healthy state of mind, because it gives an opportunity to serve the divine couple. So when Prithu Maharaj also came to know that, okay, his life final exam is approaching and he has to give up his body, he sat in a yogic sitting posture. He blocked the door of his anus with his ankles. He pressed his right and left calves and gradually raised his pranavayu upward to the circle of his navel, then to his heart, then to his throat, and finally pushed it to the central of the eyebrows, which is known as Agnya Chakra. So these are the different chakras where the Kundalini, the consciousness is raised. So he sits in a Sukhasana, that is also known as Muktasana. And then he raised his life here from Mooladhara Chakra to Swadhisthana Chakra to Manipura Chakra to Anahata Chakra to Vishuddha Chakra and finally to the Agnya Chakra. This Agnya Chakra is the place between the two eyebrows. And then when the pranavayu is situated between the two eyebrows, then the yogic or the yogi, he's able to take out that pranavayu from this Brahma Andhra, the hole from his skull. And then he goes to Vaikuntha planet or Krishna Loka. So understanding in the same way, Prithu Maharaj also sat in that same yogic posture and was awaiting and was, he took actually the advantage of this Shata Chakra process and finally at his own will. So it was not that a death was imposed upon him, but at his own will, he gave up his body and he entered into the spiritual sky. In this way, Prithu Maharaj, he lost everything. He merged his life air in the totality of air, his body in the totality of earth, and the fire within the body with the totality of fire. So we all know that this gross is the sthula sharir is actually made up of panchabhuta, that is earth, air, fire, water, and ether, and three subtle elements, that is mind, intelligence, and false ego. So Prithu Maharaj also, he made his earth factor back into the totality of earth, fire back into fire, air back into the air. Then he merged the wholes of his senses, all those body liquids such as blood and various secretions with the totality of water. He merged earth with water, then water with fire, fire with air, air with sky, and so on. And in this way, he left his body. He amalgamated his mind with the senses and the senses with the sense objects. So, and his material ego with the total material energy, that is Mahatattva. So how can that be possible? Because Prithu Maharaj was aware of this process of creation. So once you are aware of this process of creation, then only you can able to do it. But this is all for the yogis who are very perfect. But unless one is in perfect yoga, it's not easy to adopt these process. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, the best yoga you can perform is Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. Chant Hare Krishna, and therefore you can be connected to the spiritual sound vibration. And when you are connected to the spiritual sound vibration, naturally you are united with the spiritual thing. You can leave your body in that consciousness. So Prithu Maharaj then offered his total designation of the living entity unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Into his original, he got his original position of Krishna consciousness, and he gave up his body as a master, as a Prabhu. So Prabhupada actually explains in the purport that what is this Prabhu? This Prabhu is a master. Who is the master? The master who is the controller of the senses, who is Goswami, who is not Godas. We jivas in the conditioned living entities, we are Godas because we are enamored by the sense objects. So therefore we are not able to control the senses fully. But Prithu Maharaj was Goswami. He was able to control his senses, and therefore he is known as Prabhu. So when he left his body, he got his Sarup Shakti. He attained this knowledge that I am Krishna Das, and that understanding is known as Sarupa Labdhi. So one who attains his spiritual position, and that's what Prithu Maharaj attained, his spiritual position. So he was already a Shaktavesh avatar. Then the question can be asked, then why he has to perform all these regulative principles to become a Prabhu? Yes, he is a Shaktavesh avatar. He came for a purpose, for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. But because he appeared on this earth as an ideal king, then to set up an example, to be an exemplary, to instruct his citizens, to execute devotional service, he followed all the regulative principles that was needed. And similar is the case of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself. He doesn't need to do anything, but still he took sannyas. He performed all those austerities. For what? Apane achari bhakti shikhai no sabare. Apne achar se he just performing his own duties properly. He instructed others in the process of bhakti, in the process of devotional service, just to set an example from their own personal actions. This is how the Mahabhagavad devotees are. Therefore, Prabhupada says, Mahajena Gatena Sapantha. We have to follow the footsteps of the Mahajan because they are exemplary. They follow, they walk their talk. And therefore, we should try to follow them, not imitate them, but follow them. So finally, Prithu Maharaj, he left his body. Now, his queen, Archi, whose name was Archi, she was also following her husband in the forest. But she was a queen. She didn't know anything. Her body was so delicate. But still, she followed all the austerities that was performed by the husband. And Prabhupada says that's the duty of a chaste woman. The chaste woman, if she is a queen, but she can be queen only till the husband is a king. If a husband is a king, she'll experience all the luxury, all the comforts of being a queen. But if the husband leaves the body, then she follows, just like Mother Sita followed her husband Ramachandra in the forest. Gandhari followed King Dhritarashtra, right? These are the examples. These are the examples of the chaste woman. So similarly, this Queen Archie, she also followed her husband and she tolerated all the difficulties of living in the forest. For a queen, it was not so easy, but she did it. Then she was also living on some fruits, some flowers, some leaves. And it was very difficult for her, but she followed. As an ideal grahastha, as an ideal wife, she followed. Similar, Prabhupada gives the example of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's wife, Vishnupriya. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when took sannyas, Vishnupriya was only 16 years old. It was a big austerity for her that husband left her. But the way she was living, she chanted few rounds, and after completing the entire mala, she took 1 grain of rice. And in this way, the whole day she will chant. And the grains that are collected, then she'll cook those grains and then she'll honor those grains as prasad. This is the austerity that she was doing it. So Archie also followed the same austerity that Prithu Maharaj was going through. And finally, it was a very difficult time for her. She lamented on Prithu Maharaj leaving the body, but then she consoled herself because she cannot lament too long. So she then built the fiery pyre on top of a hill. She placed the body of her husband, and finally she also entered into that fire. So here also Prabhupada says that, yes, when somebody dies, a sane man does not lament too much, because first of all, the sane man knows that this death is actually the reunion with the Supreme Lord. So they don't take death as the end, rather they take it as a beginning, right? Because the soul is transferred from one body to another. So this Queen Archie also followed. She lamented, but then she did her duty that was needed. So she also circumambulated that fire, and finally she entered into the flames. This is known as sati, being a sati. So this practice was prevalent in the early times, but now it is not been accepted, because those wives who have no courage, it needs courage to enter into that fiery flames. So because few women were not able to face this, but they were forced to enter into the fire of their dead husband. And everybody will force them to enter. So therefore, this practice was stopped, because this practice is not to be practiced by force, but it is out of wish, out of one's free will, out of one's love. So Prithu Maharaj, so when Archie, she entered into the fire of her husband, then all the queens of demigods, they offered their prayers to Queen Archie. They were situated on the top of Mandara Hill. They started showering some flowers, and then they were talking among themselves. So Maitreya Muni in few verses describes that what was the talk between the wives of all the demigods, how they were glorifying Queen Archie. They were saying that how this King Prithu was the emperor of all the kings, but she, Queen Archie, she has served her husband with her complete body, mind, and speech as Lakshmi Devi. So they were equating her activities to the activities of goddess of fortune, that how goddess of fortune serves Narayan personally. There are so many maidservants that can do. Queen Rukmini also. She has so many servants, but she personally serves Krishna when time comes. So this is how they were glorifying Mother Archie. And the wives of demigods said that her husband has moved upward. Now we can see her also going in the different airplane following her husband. So when Prithu Maharaj left his body, airplane descended, but along with his airplane, another airplane also came, which carry Queen Archie, and they were actually passing by these planetary systems where these women, these wives of all the demigods, were seeing them passing through all the planetary systems and going to a most exalted position of Vaikuntha Loka. So this also indicates that Prithu Maharaj and his wife, they both developed their spiritual bodies, and they entered into their spiritual planes and spiritual airplanes and reached the spiritual sky. Now, these wives of demigods, then they said that actually Queen Archie also obtained the same loka as of husband, which is known as there is one Pitra Loka and another is known as Pati Loka. So Pati Loka is not like some Pitra Loka, and there is another Loka like a Pati Loka. Pati Loka is that a chaste wife who serves her husband completely with her body, mind, and words, attain the same destination that her husband achieves. So similarly, Queen Archie also received the same destination. Then Maitreya Muni say, these women only, they are glorifying that any person who engages himself in this material world and performs some great activities, great struggle, even after performing this human form of life and doesn't understand the position of this material existence to be dukkhalayam, then they are basically cheating themselves and they are envious of his own self. So we all know this bhajan, Hari Hari Bipale Janama Goyayu. Manushya Janma Phaya Radha Krishna na bhajiya, Janiya Shunya Vishkhayu. Prabhupada's favorite bhajan. Prabhupada will always say that knowingly, if you are not worshipping Radha and Krishna, if you are not worshipping the Supreme Lord after getting this human form of life, then knowingly, Janiya Shunya Vishkhaya, then knowingly you are eating just poison. You are basically doing Atmadha, means you are killing, you are doing spiritual suicide. If you are not understanding the importance of human form of life, and in that human form of life, worshipping the Supreme Lord. So this way, the wives of demigods, they were glorifying Archie Devi, that how Mother Archie, she also attained that Pati Loka. So this way, when they glorified, then Maitreya Muni, the conversation comes back to Maitreya Muni and Vidura, where Maitreya Muni is saying, "Oh Vidura, the wives of the denizens of heaven were talking amongst themselves. And Queen Archie reached the planet with her husband, Prithu Maharaj, the topmost realized souls have attained." So she entered that Pati Loka. So Prabhupada says there is no separate Pati Loka like Pitra Loka, but Pati Loka means that the same destination as of her husband. Then the greatest of all devotees, Prithu Maharaj, who was very powerful and his character was liberal, Maitreya Muni said, "As far as my knowledge, I have described you as that how he was so magnificent, he was so magnanimous, he was so liberal. I have explained you everything." And then in the last few verses, 9 verses, then Maitreya Muni explains the Falashruti, beautiful Falashruti. And I know all those who have been attending and listening to this entire episode of Prithu Maharaj, they are entitled to get this Falashruti. So what the Falashruti is, I'll be simply reading that any person who describes the great characteristics of King Prithu and with faith and determination, whether he reads or hears of them or helps others to hear of them, is certain to attain the very planet which Prithu Maharaj attained. Means they can go back to Godhead. So that was the Falashruti that he mentioned. Then he says a Brahmana will become the most learned. If a Kshatriya hears, he will become the leader of this world. If the Vaishya, he becomes the master of all other Vaishyas, like Nanda Maharaj. And a Shudra becomes the best of the devotee. So this is all that those, if these personalities, they hear this pastime of Prithu Maharaj, or they chant the pastime of Prithu Maharaj, or they help others to understand this pastime of Prithu Maharaj, they will get all these destinations. Not only that, parent who doesn't have any child, they will be blessed with good children, because Prithu Maharaj and Archie were blessed with 5 good children. A poor man will become the richest man. A person who doesn't have any reputation will become most famous. A mudha, a fool, will become most learned, most knowledgeable. And one who hears this, there will be all auspiciousness. There will be no inauspiciousness in their life, and there will be all auspiciousness. One who chants this entire narration of Prithu Maharaj. They will achieve wealth, they will achieve fame, they will achieve long life. They will be immunized from the influence of Kali Yuga, and they will get the results of all the 4 purusharthas, that is dharma, artha, kama, moksha. But a pure devotee doesn't want all this. He is always after the pancham purushartha, that is Krishna prema. A king attains, if the king hears, then the king attains victory, ruling power, and tribute from subordinate king. So therefore it is being mentioned. But now these Falashrutis are mentioned. But a devotee may think, well, I don't want all this, whatever is mentioned. So a devotee should not hear. Then he says that if a devotee hears, then he will know how to discharge devotional service. Therefore, a devotee must hear, must read, and must induce others also about the character and life of Prithu Maharaj, because the devotee will be bestowed with pure devotional service after hearing this pastime of Prithu Maharaj. Finally, the last verse, that is the very famous verse, that is the verse number 39th. So I will just say that verse. It's very important. It's very beautiful also. Text 39. Anudinam idam adarena shravanam prithucharitam prathayam vimukta sangha bhagavati bhava sindhu potapade sachanyapudam labhate rati manushya. So how we should chant, how we should glorify these pastimes. It says anudinam. Anudinam means every day, day after day. And how? Adarena, with full adar, with great respect. One should do shravan. Shravan of what? Hearing. Hearing of what? Prithu Charitam. Hearing the narration of Prithu Maharaj. Prathayan, and then chant. Vimukta Sangha, then we will be liberated. Bhagavati Bhava, then one in the association, then what will, if we do all this, then what will happen? Bhagavati, then the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhava Sindhu Pautapade, then the Supreme Personality of Godhead, lotus feet, will become the boat by which one can easily cross this ocean of nescience, this ocean, this material existence, which is Bhavasagar, one can easily cross. So I'll read the translation. Whosoever with great reverence and adoration. So it's very important, with reverence, with adar, regularly reads Anudinam, chants, and describe the history of Prithu Maharaj's activity, will certainly increase unflinching faith and attraction for the lotus feet of the Lord. So a devotee cannot say, well, all those Falashrutis that were mentioned, I don't want anything. So what? Even if you don't want and you want devotional service, then understand and describe this pastime and narration of Prithu Maharaj. You will get unflinching faith and attraction for the lotus feet of the Lord. The Lord's lotus feet are the boat by which one can cross this ocean of nescience. So all these Falashrutis that are mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, after every pastime we understand, we should not think that this is Arthavad. We should not think that it's mere an exaggeration. After all, these Falashrutis are written by Srila Vyasadeva. But what is needed is adar, with faith, with reverence, with adoration, and regularly. If we hear Srimad Bhagavatam, if we read Srimad Bhagavatam with faith and reverence, then these Falashrutis will come true. The only things that is lacking is our faith. We don't have faith in the Shastras. We don't have Shraddha in the Shastras. So we should have those Shraddhas. That Shastriya Shraddha should be there in us. Only then, if we follow it nicely, Adar and Anudinam. Anudinam idam adarena Shravan. This line is very important. Every day with full faith and reverence, if we hear not only this Prithu Maharaj pastimes, but we have to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, then Srimad Bhagavatam will reveal to us and all the Falshrutis will come true to the best of their capabilities. Okay. So thank you all so much. I'm so happy to be in the association of all of you. So we'll stop here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Prithu Maharaj ki jai, Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, all the assembled Vaishnavas ki jai. All glories to all of you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Kirtida Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Beautiful, beautiful summary, Mataji. Thank you so much for explaining so nicely about how Vanaprastha, how a devotee should, from the beginning of the life, should take Vanaprastha, and what is the benefit of taking Vanaprastha, and what is the duty of a wife, and how a wife should just follow the husband. When husband is a king, wife is also a princess. When husband is a beggar sitting on the street, wife might have everything, but she should also come to that platform, and she should be like that. Like when you're telling this, I was remembering we are doing Kardama Muni and Devahuti episode for the children. In that case, same Devahuti was just following
She was
husband.
the princess.
Yeah,
She was the daughter of Swayambhu Manu.
yeah.
But she totally
And
devoted her life to Kashyapa Muni. Very beautiful example.
yes, yes. That was very nice. I was remembering when you were telling that, I was remembering, and also Dhruv Maharaj example, how he was also following austerity, and Prithu Maharaj's austerity you were comparing. And also telling that why, if he's a Shastavasa avatar, is, Lord's in an incarnation, one of the incarnation of the Lord himself. But then why you have to follow all this? You gave an example of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu following it and giving, and even in that case Krishna took his guru, and he did everything that an ordinary person, being as a king, he followed everything, and everything. I mean, he's not a king, but I'm just saying, when he was like there with his parents and everything, and also how he was going to the school of Sandepa Muni and learning everything. It was like giving an example, like how a citizen should be there. Very nice, Mataji. I really like about this thing you were telling, right? And wife getting into the fire of the husband, Sati Sagamana. That one also you are telling, like, it should not be by the force. That's why it is stopped. That's when they have to forcefully stop it. And but then if you see like that, Mataji, because we are devotee of Krishna, and we are also getting initiated, but we don't have right to
Exactly.
take our life like that, because it's not our body, it's
It's the
Guru's
body of
body.
the spiritual
So
master.
I'm
Yeah.
individual, and my Prabhu is individual. I don't have a right to do that, because I'm not this body is not belonging to me. First of all, we should just follow Guru and continue our service towards Krishna. Yeah,
Yes.
Mataji. And finally, the Falastuti was also very good. Thank you so much, Mataji. Very, very grateful to you. Hare Krishna.
So in this regard, I also remembered that how Prithu Maharaj was an epitome. Do you know to which limb of bhakti he represents? Anyone knows? Like for Shravanam, we have Parikshit Maharaj. For Kirtanam, we have Sukadev Goswami. Then Prithu Maharaj is epitome of. Yes, Vinita Gandharvi Kamataji, you must know.
Vandanam, Mataji. Vandanam.
Archana.
Archanam. Oh, deity worship. Yes.
Deity
Thank you,
worship.
Mataji.
Vandanam is Akrura.
Akrura. Yeah, the lotus feet. That picture is always there printed in the heart of everyone. Where
Yes.
Akrura bowing
Actually, there is a
down.
very
Yes.
beautiful verse in Padyavali, and it says, Shri Vishnu Shravane Parikshit Abhavad Yaseka Kirtane Prahlada Smarane Tad Angira Bhajane Lakshmi Prithu Pujane. So Prithu Maharaj is for pujan, for archana. Akrurastab abhivandane means doing vandanam. Kapipatir dasya, dasya is our Hanumanji. Atash Sakhya Arjuna, and for Sakhyam it's Arjuna. Sarva Swatma Nivedana is Balir. Adbhut Krishna Pratiresham Para. So this way everybody achieved the lotus feet of Lord Shri Krishna. It's a beautiful verse in Padyavali. Yeah.
Very good. Thank you,
Okay,
Mataji.
so
Thank
thank
you
you all
for
so much.
recapping our memories for Archanam. Prithu Maharaj. Thank you. I'll be remembering. Yeah, we read it so many times, but suddenly it won't get strike. Yeah, we did it for 3 times. We did it this 9 process of devotional service for all the kids group.
The
All
kids
different
must be
groups
like,
we did it. Yeah, still I forgot it.
that's okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Mataji. Is there anybody wanted to share any more realizations? Yeah, Nitya Narasimha Prabhu, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. It is such an amazing class, and today is Akshay Tritiya also here.
Oh, for you today is Akshay Tritiya. Happy Akshay
Yeah,
Tritiya, Prabhu. For us,
actually it is
yes, it is
yeah,
tomorrow.
it is so early morning, 2:30. I just wake
Oh,
up, but I thought I will check. So in the Bhakti Sangha Japa group, your class is there. I am fortunate, Mataji. And also you mentioned about the Falashruti, like by hearing is pastime. So my question is, Mataji, like you have mentioned so many points, but like Srimad Bhagavatam will reveal to the pure devotees. And also you mentioned that in the Mangalacharana, the second
mm,
sloka, Dharma Projita Kaitava
mm,
Atra Parma Nirmatsarana.
mm,
But here my question is like, is it true? It is only for Nirmatsaranam Bhagavatam reveals. Even the like mm, Putana.
mm,
Putana was also envious of the Lord, but
mm.
she also got the like same stage or greater than the stage of Mother Yashoda. So
Not
just
greater, but yeah, almost
yeah.
equal.
Would you means enlighten on that point, Mataji?
Yeah,
Nirmat
that is
Sarana.
Krishna's Anugraha Shakti. That is Krishna's compassion, his mercifulness. So when Krishna is compassionate, he can change his own laws. So Putana, his action was accepted, but his intention was not. His intention was wrong, but her action was very pure. She wants to breastfeed Krishna. So therefore, Krishna looked at the action. So it's Krishna's Anugraha Shakti that comes in between. So Krishna has so many Shaktis, so many Vibhutis. But when Krishna's Anugraha Shakti comes, then all the Shaktis takes the side position. So for Putana, also Krishna's Anugraha Shakti comes that Krishna elevated her to the spiritual sky. But in general, it has been mentioned that Srimad Bhagavatam will reveal itself only to the heart of Nirmatsaranam Satam, only to the heart of those devotees who are non-envious. Now, someone can say, well, till the time I become totally non-envious, should I not touch Srimad Bhagavatam? That's not the case. Because if we touch Srimad Bhagavatam, at one point the Bhagavatam will not reveal. But reading Bhagavatam time and again and again, our heart will be completely freed from this enviousness. And then the real purport of Bhagavatam will be revealed to us. Right? So keep reading. If the more we read, the more we'll become purified. And the more we become purified, the more Krishna will intervene in our life. And the more the purpose of Bhagavatam will be revealed. So this is how we can understand.
Yes, Mataji, true. Even like I was, I am now also maybe envious, but I was so envious. My nature was like that. But as you said, by reading Srimad Bhagavatam, irrespective of who touches the Bhagavatam or who reads the Bhagavatam, the transformation happens
Happens, yeah.
immediately. That is true. Mm, like even before initiation, also like I started reading Bhagavatam because one of the Father Pradakshina Guru who guided me, he had a full set of Bhagavatam. So that's how, means when we start reading Srimad Bhagavatam, then automatically purification
Will happen.
starts.
Yeah,
Mm. Yes.
purification starts.
Thank you, Mataji. And also, Mataji, you mentioned the book Life's Final Exam. It is
That is
written by
by
whom? Is it
Giriraj
PDF
Swami.
is available?
I don't know
Mm.
about the PDF. I have the copy. I have the hard copy of that book. It is by His Holiness Giriraj Swami.
Mm.
Okay. Wish you a
And
very
also,
happy
you,
Akshaya Tritiya,
yes,
Prabhu. Very auspicious
yes,
day. It is for us tomorrow. Very, very auspicious day. The day from where Chandan Yatra starts, the pastime of Shripad Madhavendra Puri, taking Chandan for his Gopal. So many
and
beautiful.
your classes are always lot of insight is there, Mataji, lot of take home
Prabhuji,
message.
I
And
was
you mentioned,
simply reading through the purports of Srila Prabhupada. So all credits to Srila Prabhupada. I have nothing
like,
more to say.
yeah, you
They were
mentioned that.
simply reading.
Mm. Like you mentioned that in the age of Kali we cannot do great austerities, and you mentioned about like after Grahastha how Vanaprastha life we have to lead, like at least having our house something near to the temple so that we can serve the
Mm,
deities, devotees, dham, so that that way in the age of Kali we can do that tapasya austerity,
mm,
which we cannot do like in other ages what we have done. Even example of chanting the holy name,
mm.
we don't have so much of taste. We do
Mm.
16 round. I'm talking about myself. 16 round because that I have committed to Guru. But there is like we should do, means one should do more chanting. But the age of Kali is so this thing means we are not going above 16 round. We should chant more than that. Like
Not
you
about
said.
more than that. Again, the point comes, it's Anudinam and Adarat. That is more important. Even if we are chanting only 16 rounds, but it has to be attentive rounds, it has to be a focused rounds, and it has to be Anudinam without carrying forward, because devotees, they carry forward their rounds, giving n number
Mm.
of excuses, and they carry forward the rounds. So that is not, it should be Anudinam and it should be with Adarat. Even Nectar of the Instruction, Rupa Goswami says that it should be Anudinam and it should be with Adarat. So don't think of increasing the rounds. Rather, once if you are on 16 rounds, focus on the quality of the rounds. And then slowly the number will come, because when the quality increases, then it becomes tailavat. It becomes ajap, means it becomes a jap where you don't want to stop. When then Krishna name flows in the mouth of a devotee. So starting rules and regulations, but then it will become spontaneous.
And also, you mentioned about His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj. So I was hearing, of course, everyone is
Mm,
very dear to Maharaj. Like when he was leaving the body, also his secretary, when
mm,
he is not able to tolerate his tears, and
yeah.
like because he was very close, he was feeling that I could not help Maharaj because the way in which he was telling, even Maharajas had lot of spiritual pressures because they have so much of commitment and so many
Mm,
devotees are in queue for the initiations and all. And the last he was mentioning that Maharaj for a couple of years he was not so energetic and healthy, but he was doing. And the thing is, he want to give like resignation because he is not able to do what. But his mood was so exalted that he don't want to leave this service and in the mission of Srila Prabhupada. So many things to learn from our
yes, very true.
spiritual masters, Mother. Yes.
Very true.
Thank you, Mother. Thank you,
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Prabhu. Thank you. So Hare Krishna, dear devotees. We can stop here.
Hare Krishna Mataji,
Hare
Danvat
Krishna.
Pranam.
Dandavat pranams.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Mataji, thank you for, like giving a recap and because I missed few sessions in between Mataji. So thanks for that recap and I could recollect few points from the Srimad Bhagavatam early morning classes also. Like, but Mataji, is this episode of like, Prithu Maharaj, is that Prithu Maharaj who like churns the mother earth, like he makes
Hmm, hmm, hmm,
various islands, right? It's by Prithu Maharaj only. Like
hmm.
he goes
Thank God. No, that is Priyavrata, I think so.
Priyavrata. Okay. Okay, Mataji. Yeah, I was getting Prithu Maharaj, so I just had this confusion whether it is Prithu Maharaj or
It is
Priya.
Priyavrata.
Okay. Yeah, that only that one
Then
doubt
he
I have.
takes his chariot and he
Yeah.
divides the earth into 7 oceans.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, Mataji. Yeah, thank you, Mataji, for this very nice nectarian class. Literally, like we practically, it is like as me as a novice, like I need to listen to this to be in this stream, like to become more conscious, more Krishna conscious, and to listen more and more. And when I listen more, I'll become like little bit like, okay, I need to continue doing this Krishna consciousness, otherwise like my mind goes into different directions. But when I keep on listening to all our bhakti sangha teachers, then I feel like, yes, I need to continue doing this, Mataji. And thanks for telling about the various like what all austerities Prithu Maharaj has done and how we need to take it as an example, and how we need to be in Vanapas various ashrams of our life. Um, Thanks a lot, Mataji. But one question I have is like, like you told that when we become like when we go into Vanapas ashram, we should see that we should be in the vicinity of a temple.
Hmm.
But it might not be possible for everyone, right, Mataji? Like,
Yeah, it's not possible for everybody, but again, nobody can stop that devotional service. So
yeah.
even if physically we are not in the vicinity of the temple, but consciously we should always be thinking of Dham. Consciously we should always, in Smaran, our Dham should be there. In Smaran, our presiding deities should be there. In Smaran, our Japa should be there and his pastimes should be there. So if we are not fortunate enough to be always physically in the vicinity of the Dham, then at least consciously we can.
Okay. Yes, Mataji. Yes. Thank you, Mataji. Thanks a lot. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Okay, so we can stop here. Vinita Gandharvika Mataji.
Yes,
Is it okay?
Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you once again, Mataji. Vanchakalpatarobhyasya kripa sindhubhyevacha. Patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Bhakti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Srila
Jai.
Prabhupada. Kirtida
Jai.
Mataji ki jai.
Jai.
Prabhupada ki jai. Granth
Jai.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, dear devotees, for joining. And happy Akshaya Tritiya for everyone from India who joined.
Mataji.
Closing the call.